Today I'm going to be giving you my 5 top tips at customizing the way you hold the golf club for the single plane golf swing. My setup for impact golf swing allows complete customization of grip, setup, stance, aim, and swing. And the goal of this method is simply to help you improve as quickly as possible. I don't expect you to be trying something for months on end so that you can hope to improve somewhere. And what I've found from teaching other methods is trying to copy the way another person held the golf club is totally absurd, because what it does is it ends up making you match every other aspect of the way they swung the club and all their idiosyncrasies, which results in months and even years in some cases of lost time, where you'll never be as good as you would have been had you just simply found what fits you and your body and your way of swinging. So I'm going to get right into it here. Just so you know, I've been teaching the single plane golf swing for about 24 years now. Started with teaching Mo Norman's golf swing. I've come up with some customizations, which I call the minimalist single plane golf swing. And now my setup for impact golf swing, which is the most advanced single plane golf swing ever. It's simply gone through years of tweaking and finding ways to help people improve as quickly as possible. Please do me a huge favor, click the red subscribe button below, hit the bell to accept notifications so you get notified as new videos come out. I'm going to have a lot of new content coming out. And please also give me a thumbs up on this video. It really helps my channel a lot. So I'm going to get right into the grip, and we're going to start with talking about the leading hand. That's for you right-handed golfers, the left. Obviously for the lefties, it's the right hand. But the leading hand, the hand we put on the top on the grip. And we're going to talk about the orientation first and how to check that. And the way that I go about that, if I hold the club here in front of me so that the leading edge of the club here is flat or horizontal, so we're only looking at this leading edge. When that's horizontal and I put my hand on the club, I want to also see that the back of the hand is also matching that. So I could put a glass of water here on top of the back of my hand. Those two match, and that would be considered a neutral grip. And you'd also notice that the back of my left hand, or back of the leading hand, is flat with the back of the arm. And so that's one important checkpoint. Now, as I teach in my schools and when I private lessons in my membership program, not everybody's going to be neutral. In fact, I think not even half the people are, and it's not something that you should strive to be. We just want to use that position as a neutral starting point to find out what's going to work best for you in your golf swing. And as I said in this video, I'm going to go through 5 steps. So the first is finding the orientation that works for you. And now there's a couple ways we can do this. So if you put your hand on in a neutral position and you bring the club down, let the wrists uncock, as we like to start out in our swing, setting up for impact. And when you hold the club in front of you, you might notice that the club is not, or the leading edge is not vertical. If it's open like this, we're going to need to adjust the club so to the right position. So if you hold it here and now it's vertical, so you can see that, then what we're going to do is be able to look at it again, and you'll see that it's not quite here straight any longer. It's no longer horizontal. And so it's a bit of an angle. So you've found what's comfortable for you there. And the last step, we're going to talk about how to figure out when you're hitting balls if it's matching your impact position, which is also important. So we want to see that we have this leading hand in a position so that when we swing through, the club face is going to be square through impact. Now, as I said, from neutral, I think most people are going to be a little bit strong from neutral. And again, when you're forcing yourself to copy another person, be it Bryson DeChambeau or Mo Norman or someone else, the fact of the matter is that to have a very neutral grip, you're going to have to practice for maybe 6 months to a year. And even then, you may not get it. I've seen a lot of people work for 2, 3, 4 years and struggle to ever hit the ball as well as they did before. So again, I'm about fast improvement, and that's my motto. I want you to improve as quickly as possible. So find the leading hand grip that fits, and then we'll move on to the next point, which is the size of the grip. So when you talk about size, and I get questions every day about the size of grip that I recommend, and I've pretty much got it boiled down from working with people at my schools, using my flight scope to identify what works best for people, and then testing different grip sizes. So for me, I have a hand size measuring from the wrist crease to longest finger of 8 inches, and I use a small Jumbo Max ultralight grip. And that fits my hand well, and you'll see when I close the fingers around the hand, you can see that the fingers are just barely touching my thumb pad of the leading hand, so they wrap around. And so this fits in my hand really well, and it gives me the best hold on the golf club. So what I'll do with people whose hand measures more than 8 inches, say 8 to 8.5, I would recommend medium. And even at 8 inches, I'd recommend trying both the medium and the small of the Jumbo Max ultralight grips. And then as you get around 8.5, I'd be looking at the large or medium, and above 8.5, then to 9 extra large. Smaller than 8 inches, getting down to 7.5, I'd be looking at the extra small, or alternatively 7.5 or smaller, looking at a normal jumbo from Golf Pride. I like the Tour Velvet jumbos. If you're a little bit bigger, you can build it up a couple wraps, and then going down to mid-size for smaller than 7 inches. And I've found that this gives you the best fit of the grip in the hands, which is obviously important. You see Bryson DeChambeau uses the extra large, and he's holding the club a little bit more in the palm of the hand, in the lifeline, so his fingers would wrap around a little bit more. I always recommend trying 1 or 2 on different clubs, maybe the 7-iron and driver first before putting them on all your clubs, just to get a feel, or try a couple different sizes. I think it's really important, and to me, I've seen huge differences. About 80% of the people trying these grips that are single plane golfers love them right away. Now conventionally, I think because of the compensations with the conventional setup, where you're going from here with the arms hanging down to impact, I think a larger grip would tend to make you hit the ball to the right. But when we take that away and we've simplified using my setup for impact single plane swing, once you're in this setup position, then the thicker grip really helps to keep the face square for through impact. And again, it's 80% from my testing do much better right away. That means though that maybe 10% don't, and 10% are kind of undecided. So it doesn't mean everybody, and that's why I have you just try a couple. Give it time. I know that the tendency is, hey, let's just slap them on every club, and if you do end up not liking them, then you're out a couple $100. So give it a try. Again, you can always put comments here. I appreciate all the comments that you put in below, and try to answer all of them. So that helps also. But let me know if you have any questions or comments. So the next point, number 3 that we're going to be talking about is the trailing hand. And we want to look at the orientation of that hand as well. And so when I talk about neutral in the trailing hand, I'm looking at the wrist crease here. And if I hold the wrist here, I'll move a little closer. If I talk about the wrist crease here, I can see a line here on my wrist crease, and I want to see that perpendicular to the target line as a neutral position. You can see my arm here, my forearm is still turned out this way a little bit, supinated a little bit that way, but I'm looking at the wrist crease as far as the orientation for this trailing hand. And so if this gets more under than that, and some people get really far under, the tendency is going to be to close the club face. So you have problems with the club face becoming closed, and that's a stronger position, and it will fit for some people, especially if you had a slicing problem in the past. So that would be a stronger position. If you're weak of that position, which I don't see and I don't advise for most people, then you're going to tend to have the club face open through impact. So because you're going to come in this way, it has an opening effect. And so it's important to understand when I'm putting it in the hands and the orientation through the hands, with the leading hand, I have it more across the hand this way, about like that. Conventionally, some have it a little bit more on the fingers. I like the stability a little bit towards the palm. Bryson DeChambeau is a little bit more diagonal through the hand in the lifeline. And with the trailing hand, at the same time, just trying to put it on in a position so that I can get my arms properly oriented to the golf club as well. I'm going to talk about that also in the next point, as well as in the last point. I'm going to be talking about how to find out what's going to work best for you. And so when I put the trailing hand on, I'm just going to reach underneath like that, and I'm looking at this wrist crease for the orientation. I want it pretty neutral. In the past I had it a little bit underneath, but I found that it tended to close the face, which I found on my flight scope. I would see consistently closed there, and so I just tweaked it to find the position. It's also similar to what you see with Bryson DeChambeau. He doesn't have the arm as far under as some of the people copying Mo, and Bryson's a little bit, if you look at it, you see almost a little sliver of grip below his right arm. It's set up. He's still set up with his club on the impact plane, but you see the arm is a little bit more what I would call neutral, the trailing hand. And so you have to play around with that a little bit. If you get too far under, that's something to look at. You see the wrist is at an angle, kind of out that way. So, and as we're talking about the leading hand and the trailing hand, putting them on the golf club, we also need to talk briefly about a major point and an important tip is making sure that the orientation of the club to your arms is correct. So we need to see that this grip, if I draw a line up the center of it facing a mirror or a camera, we'll see that the grip is pointed up underneath the leading arm. So if you look at it from the side, it looks like this. It's pointed up underneath. So it'd be pointed at my ribs here on the side, on the lead side of my body. So it looks like a straight line from there. If you look here, you can see it's not straight from that perspective, but it is from here. Now when we put the trailing hand on, we want also the orientation, that if we raise it up here, that arm is oriented on the same plane. So looking from here, you'll see that, and it's at least to the elbow. The arm should be slightly bent, not dead straight, because at impact we want it also bent, but that's the orientation. You can see this trailing arm coming in from the side, so it's not in a straight line, but if you look this way, it is. And the same here, from base on, it's got that orientation. From down the line, it isn't. So when we're set up, that's the way it needs to be, as that's where we're going to be through impact as well. Talking then about the final point, and most important in my opinion, is when we're practicing. I see a lot of people who think they're pulling the ball to the left, and actually they're not. When I look on flight scope, they have the club 7, 8, 9 degrees closed at impact. Now, in a lot of cases, that's due to early release, which my drills and my learning program help you to fix. But in a lot of cases, the impact's okay and the ball's still tending to go left. And if you're seeing a curve to the left, then we want to look at the leading hand here first and see what position it's in. So again, if you look here and the toe is up a little bit, that's a little bit strong. So just tone it down just a few degrees, and it may feel like the club face is open there. So I would again make a few swings once I'm set up and I have the hands in the position I want. You can also do this, make some swings, go to impact, and look at the face. If you hit a couple shots, if you're getting set up, and just look at the ball right, so that's dead straight, and I wouldn't have anything to adjust then. Or if you can get on a launch monitor like a flight scope or a TrackMan, then you can get the numbers and see what is the club face through impact. Most people, it's either consistently open or closed. I see more often closed with single plane golfers. So with conventional golfers, you'll see more often open, but again, that's because of setting up on our impact plane. It takes a lot of variables out of it. So if you fix the leading hand to neutral and the ball still goes to the left, then what we would do, or is hooking, then what we would do is look at the trailing hand and adjust that also a little bit more this way. Maybe you could think of the palm being towards the target, and that's kind of what I do. And so once I have it in that position, I'm also looking at the club face to make sure it's square here. I get a lot of people closed or open, and then I'll hit a couple shots. Another one dead straight. And so I will play around with it, trying a little bit here, a little bit there. In a recent video, I also talked about what Bryson DeChambeau does with the end of range limitations. If the club ball is still going left for a right-handed golfer, he turns the arm in, so the leading arm is turned down so that he can't rotate the arm to close it. So there are a lot of factors here. But again, I'll go through it one more time, just a quick review. I'm putting on the leading hand like this. That's how I can also feel the orientation through the hand. So I feel it there. So I have the orientation the way I want it. And then the trailing hand I'll put in once I'm getting set up. And you can see the other videos for setup and some of my drills here on my YouTube channel. And then once I'm set up, it's just back and through. And then once I'm set up, it's just back and through, dead straight. So again, please do me a huge favor, click the red subscribe button below, hit the bell to accept notifications, and give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Check out my schools in West Palm Beach and around the country in the spring. I'm going to have a lot of new school sites coming up, and online learning on the website. Links below in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.